Hello my creative friends and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to paint this dreamy winter sunset with watercolor. You will learn how to paint such a glowing sky with soft clouds, mountains and snow. This is a real-time tutorial and you can paint along with me or watch the video first and then try to repeat the process on your own. I'll start by reviewing the materials I'll be using today. It's not necessary to have exactly the same materials and I will give you some options. First, let's start with the paints. For today's tutorial, I will use these 4 colors: Yellow Ochre, Opera, Ultramarine Deep and Permanent Brown. They are by Art Philosophy and this is my favorite color combo. I carefully chose these 4 colors while working on a collaboration kit with the brand. The great thing about this combo is that the colors are amazing on their own, but they also create very beautiful and vibrant mixes together, as you will see later on. You can get my kit by following the link that I'll put in the description box. They come together with a block of cotton paper and a real-time full tutorial on how to paint this beautiful and romantic sunset. But let's get back to today's tutorial. Here's a list of substitutes that you can use if you don't have the same colors. Keep in mind that the mixes will be different and your painting may have a different vibe at the end, but that's okay. Just enjoy the process and get to know your paints a little more, that's more than enough. Okay, back to the materials again. For the sketch, you will need a pencil and an eraser, the brand doesn't matter. For paper, I will use this watercolor block by Hahnemühle. It's 300 GSM and 100% cotton, but make note that it also has a rough texture. This means that the paper has a slightly rougher texture. It's not the best choice for painting soft skies and snow, but I like the size, so I decided to use it today. This here is the ceramic palette on which I will mix my paints. You can use plastic palette or even a dinner plate. And for the brushes, I will use my Chamonix art brushes. So I will use this one to wet my paper. It's very soft and holds a lot of water, so I can quickly cover the entire sheet with it. For the larger areas, I will use this soft quill size 5. It's synthetic coral, so it can take a lot of liquid and can cover quickly large portions of paper. This one is the same but in a smaller size. If you paint in a smaller format, maybe it will be more suitable to use something like that. This one is a size 6 synthetic brush. It's stiffer and it's easier to take concentrated paint with it. And you will also need a smaller brush for details, something around size 2, or if you have a rigger or a liner brush like this one. I will use cotton and paper towel to take off the excess moisture of my brush. 2 jars of water, one to rinse off my brush and the other for when I need clean water. And this is pretty much everything that you need if you want to follow along. So let's start with the sketch. I will draw the mountains first. I'll start here, which is about the upper 1/3 of my sheet. I'm holding my pencil high and I make wobbly lines, going up and down the paper. Okay, that's the silhouette of the mountain. Now I will just mark where I have some dark lines or texture on the mountain. I have one here. One here, another one that goes like this, and this is pretty much for the mountain. Here I will have a line with trees, which I will mark very lightly. And here I will have a tiny house. I'm starting by drawing a triangle and then 2 lines that are parallel. Now the snow on the roof. Here this part is very dark. And here I will have a window. Just a tiny square. And this is everything that we see from the house, because here we'll have some fresh snow. It goes like this. And here it goes like this. And here we'll have a fence. So first I draw two lines that get closer together in the distance. And now I will draw separate posts. So as we go further away, they get smaller and close together. And here we'll have two rails that connect them. I'll erase the lines that serve me as guides. I'll fix the shape of some of the posts. Just make sure that this really looks like a fence that goes further away from you by gradually making the elements smaller and closer together. And I think we are ready with the sketch. I'll take the excess graphite by pressing my eraser lightly on my paper. And what I'll do next is I'm going to place my paper tape like this, so that my paper is at an angle. This way the water and pigment will flow down instead of forming pools on the paper surface. And I'll start wetting my paper using my big brush. I'm covering the entire sheet of paper with water and I go back and forth multiple times. The goal is for the paper to soak enough water so that it stays wet for longer. If I see that some areas are getting matte, I go over them with some fresh water again. I will leave the paper to soak some of the water, and meanwhile I will prepare my paints. I will squeeze a small amount of each color here on my palette. I start with the yellow ochre, then opera, then ultramarine, and then permanent brown. So I put the colors that I will mix often next to each other. Going over the paper with some fresh water again. And now with my quill size 5, I will prepare my mix for the lightest part of the sky. So I mix yellow ochre and opera, a very small amount with lots of water. And I paint a stripe in the sky. I paint directly over the mountains. Next I will mix the same colors with more paint and less water. So if you add more opera, it will be more pinkish, and if you add more yellow ochre, it will be more orange. I really love the mixes between these two colors, so soft and dreamy. Now I'm adding more opera and I add it to the sky. Some here around the edges too. Now it's time to make a colder color. I'm adding ultramarine and more opera and I get this beautiful purple. I add it in the upper part. And finally, with even more ultramarine, I get this colder and darker violet, and this will be the darkest part of the sky. I add some stripes here on the left. Now I'm washing my brush and I wipe it on my towel so that it's almost dry. And with that I will blend the colors where I got harsher lines. If you're happy with how your sky looks like, you can skip this step. Next we'll add some clouds. I'm taking my size 6 brush and with almost no water, I'm preparing a purple mix of ultramarine and opera. I'm adding a drop of yellow ochre to mute it a bit. And with that, I'm painting random shapes, which will be our clouds. Next to the brighter area of the sky, the clouds should be warmer, so I'm using more opera and just a bit of ultramarine. And now I will mix opera with yellow ochre again, but this time much denser than what we used to paint the sky. I guess my brush wasn't clean, so I got this rusty orange. I will wash my brush and try again. This one is better. I will add it here. See how it's almost glowing. We can add some of that purple here on the left side. Playing with color ratio to get different shades. This will make our clouds richer and more realistic. And with skies and clouds, I found out that the fewer brush strokes, the better. So try not to overwork by going multiple times over the same area. Just let watercolors do their thing. More orange here and I will leave it be. And same as we did with the sky, I will soften the clouds with my damp brush. I'm barely touching the paper. If your paper has started to dry or if you don't have a soft brush, you better leave it as it is. My paper is still wet, so I'll add some very light shadows on the snow too before I leave everything to dry. I'll just mix purple and I will paint some stripes here and there. More bluish purple here. So more ultramarine makes it color purple and more opera makes it warmer and pinkish. And with that our first layer is ready. And if you have some dark colors over your mountains, you can wipe it off with a clean napkin. Don't press too much because it will form a hard edge. And now I will leave everything to dry. You can use a hairdryer to speed up the process. Okay, my painting is now dry. I will prepare a watery mix of opera and yellow ochre and I will use that to cover the mountains. So because this is a sunset painting, the snow on the mountains is not white, it rather reflects the warm colors of the sky. So I carefully cover the mountain top and then at the base I just add water so it doesn't dry right away and leave a hard edge. I will now add more opera to the mix and continue with the second mountain. Again, I am adding more water at the base. And for the one on the right, I will add more blue so that it looks like it's further away. And let's cover the one on the left too with a purple water mixture. And now I will drag the paint down until I reach this line. I'm going carefully around the house. I blend the colors. Here I will add a bit more color. Now it looks better. Okay, now while it's still wet, we'll add some trees. I'm preparing a thick mixture of opera, ultramarine and permanent brown. It must be very concentrated, otherwise it will spread too much. I will add some yellow ochre too. So I want to get purple but more muted one, not so bright. It's why I add the brown and the yellow ochre. And now you have a few options. You can just paint a wavy stripe at the base of the mountain. Or you can add some trees by pressing your brush like that. If your paint spreads too much, you can wait a bit more and try again. Let's continue on the other side. You can change the color slightly by adding more blue or more brown. Also, when you add more concentrated strokes on top of a water mixture, it creates a feeling of depth. Here my paper is almost dry, so the paint won't spread, but that's okay. I will add more brown now and we'll add some darker spots. Another thing you can do is add some clean water to the wet areas. It will push some of the pigment and that creates an interesting effect. You can also splatter some clean water. Now with a clean damp brush, I will soften the edge. I'm just going over the harsh line and cleaning my brush and continuing to soften it. Here I'll add more clean water. You can also try to lift some of the colors by pressing a clean damp brush on the wet area. But in my case it doesn't work well, so I'll just add more clean water to these areas. Some splashes here. And I'll leave it to dry. Next we'll add some texture to the mountains. This part is repetitive and a bit boring, so gather some patience. I will use my size 6. My brush is almost dry and I will prepare a mix of permanent brown and ultramarine. I have some ochre here too. So once again, almost no water here. And let's start from the left. I'm just pressing my brush and get such random textured spots. If your brush is not dry, you can wipe it on a paper towel. Now I will wash my brush, I will wipe it on my towel and will smudge some of that texture so it doesn't look that harsh. I try not to go over the trees. And since my brush is almost dry, I'm not reactivating the paint that is already on my paper. Let's continue. Adding more texture here, I try to make it look as natural as possible. Here we can use a warmer brown, so I'm taking pure permanent brown. Some of the darker mix too. Don't forget to leave some areas untouched. Now let's smudge some of that texture with a damp brush. Especially here close to the trees, we want to keep it light, like there's mist, so you can even blot some of the pigment with a napkin. Okay, let's continue. I'm alternating between a dry brush for texture and a damp brush or some clean water for smudging. If you want to add more contrast, just add a darker color. You can also use this stage to correct the outline of your mountains. Some random spots. Okay guys, we are halfway there. Stay with me. For these two mountains, I will use a more water mixture to show that they are further away. I won't be adding many details. I'm out of blue, so I'll squeeze a bit here on my palette. Let's try with a more bluish mix here. I'm constantly wiping my brush on my paper towel to get rid of the excess moisture. So every time you see my brush disappearing below, know that I'm wiping it on my napkin. Okay, we are almost ready. Oops, that's too dark. Some messy brush marks here and there. And now we'll bring it all together by covering the entire mountain with a thin layer of water. This will smudge some of the texture and will make the mountain look more natural. So very lightly I'm going over the mountain. You can even add a thin layer of paint. This is called glazing. For this one here, I will use warmer colors. It looks so much better now, don't you think? if you've added too much color, you can wipe it with a damp brush or even blot it with a clean napkin. Here it looks too harsh, so I'll smudge it with clean damp brush. Some random dark spots. Let's pay some attention to the foreground. I'm wetting the entire area of the snow. And with some purple water mix, I will add some random strokes. This is not looking very nice, so I'm wiping it. Actually, I want to cover the upper part with some color too. It looks too white now. I'm taking some watery purple and I go over it. I'll try to fix this area here because it looks weird. Okay, that's better. Now let's paint the shadow of the fence. I'm repeating the shape of the fence in the snow using my size 6 and a watery purple mixture. Don't forget to connect the shadow with the posts. And finally, let's paint the house. I'm taking some permanent brown. I'm preparing two mixes, one with ultramarine to make it darker and one with watery permanent brown for the front side of the house. I'm just filling in the shape going around the window. And for the other side, I will use the darker mix. Just fill in the shape. I will use the same color to add some shadows here below the roof. Some stripes to imitate the wooden planks. And a dark border around the window. Let's paint the snow on the roof. I'm putting some water, avoiding the left side. Now I'll add some purple shadows. I will lift some of it because it's too much. Now let's make that window glow. I will take a watery yellow ochre and I will paint the window with it. Probably that's too pale, so I'll add some more paint. That's better. This part is now dry, so I can quickly paint the fence. Using a very thick permanent brown, I will just go over my sketch. leaving such dry brush strokes as if they are covered with snow. Same for the rails. Making them thinner and thinner as they go further away. We can add some dark spots to give it more volume. I'm adding ultramarine to the brown. And I will add it here and there. Not too much of it. And with the same color, I will add some final details to the house. And we are done. Here is my finished painting. I added some random lines next to the house because it looked too lonely, but you can leave yours as it is if you're happy with how it looks. Thank you so much for joining me and painting along with me. I hope that you're happy with your painting. If you decide to post it on Instagram, tag me so that I can see your work and share it in my stories. My handle is inkpapersquirrel. There I share all my plans and projects I'm currently working on. Feel free to DM me there if you have some questions or if you would like to chat about materials. I am always happy to help. If you want more in-depth classes with me, you can join me on Skillshare. I have a link that will give you a free 30 days of membership and you can watch all my classes as well as thousands of other classes by amazing teachers and artists. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and you'll be notified whenever I upload new tutorials. See you in the next video. Happy painting!